good death, you do have to talk about it. But it feels like a really hard, difficult subject for the reasons Jen said. Our society has treated it as a failure and as something to conquer and overcome. But because it's a natural thing that's going to happen whether we talk about it or not, it's better to have it be something we're comfortable with. Once we get comfortable with it, our life is better. We don't, all that energy we use to not talk about it, we can use for our life. I think it's worthwhile. Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, what I've learned about this whole topic is that, of course, we know that many people have a great fear of death, and it's pretty much a fear of the unknown, and it's a fear of what, you know, what will that be like? And the thing is, we've been in the last 7,500 years, death and dying has really changed in America in particular, because we have so many new medical technologies that can prolong life and that can keep people who have chronic conditions alive for much longer. And so there's not the trajectory of death has changed, where, you know, 100 years ago, people had sort of short illness and then they died. But now people can be kept alive and they can go on for years with all kinds of different things. And it's a question of if we can talk about these things, become comfortable with it, then we can learn about it and we can learn what the options are, and we can make choices and we can decide what is quality of life, what is the quality of life that I would want to have and at the end of life. And if you can have some understanding about what those answers are, then when the time comes, you know, your family understands, and because then when they have to speak for you, they know what your wishes are, and then they can make decisions on your behalf that they know are the wishes that you have discussed, and they then suffer less guilt, and the bereavement period for those families is far less than it is for people who do not have those understandings.
Yeah, there have been some pretty extensive studies now that show that when patients die in intensive care, their families are 2/3 more likely to have impacted grief and not get over the death, or to get sick themselves. It's not good for your family to have to watch you die a prolonged death in intensive care. But unless you've talked about it ahead of time, that's our MO today, is to treat, to continue to treat. Doctors don't especially like it themselves, but that they aren't the ones to tell us it's time now for you to stop treatment and get hospice. They're going to say, here are some more things we can do. And it's up to you to say, no, I want to die at home. I want hospice care. But if you've never heard of hospice care or talked about it, then you're afraid. And you're afraid of dying, like Jennifer said. So you're not going to be able to advocate for a good death.